Stop visualizing your goals. Seriously, stop right now. Most people are doing it completely wrong, and I'm about to show you why. Harvard discovered that 92% of people fail despite clearly visualizing their dreams. But what the successful 8% do is completely different from what you've probably been trying. Throughout this video, we'll explore the missing connection between Neville Goddard's visualization principles and Jim Rohn's discipline philosophy. This integration method could completely transform your approach to personal development. The third principle, which I'll reveal only at the end of this video, is what makes all the difference between dreaming and achieving. Many of us have experienced this frustrating pattern. We visualize our goals with crystal clarity, feel that surge of motivation, maybe even create vision boards or repeat affirmations, yet weeks later nothing has changed. This implementation gap is the invisible barrier keeping millions of Americans stuck in cycles of hope followed by disappointment. The visualization technique is taught by most manifestation gurus, is actually hurting your chances of success. I'm going to show you exactly why, and how to do it correctly. What most people miss is the system that turns mental images into physical reality. Today we're bridging two seemingly opposite approaches to success. On one side, we have Neville Goddard's powerful visualization techniques that emphasize the primacy of imagination. On the other, Jim Rohn's pragmatic philosophy of disciplined action and consistent habits. These two giants of personal development are often studied separately, but their methods are actually complementary pieces of the same success puzzle. What if I told you that the secret to unstoppable achievement isn't choosing between these approaches, but integrating them into a single powerful system? By the end of this video, you'll understand the three fundamental principles that transform fleeting mental images into concrete daily habits that produce real-world results. And I promise the third principle, which most mindset gurus never discuss, is the missing link that makes everything else work. What really separates those who visualize and succeed from those who visualize and fail? The answer isn't what most people think. Here's the first principle. Visualization without a system is merely fantasy. Here's how your morning probably looks right now. You visualize your goal, feel good for a few minutes, then your day starts and nothing changes. Here's how it will look after implementing the continuous integration method. You visualize for 3 minutes, activate a specific trigger that automatically launches your first strategic action, and before lunch, you've already made concrete progress toward your goal. Consider Thomas Edison, widely recognized for his genius, but less known for his meticulous practice of visualization followed by systematic experimentation. Edison didn't just imagine the light bulb. He documented his mental images in detailed notebooks, then created structured processes to bring them into physical reality. His success came from bridging mental conception with disciplined implementation. In fact, Edison's journals revealed that he would visualize his inventions in complete detail before building them, but always followed with immediate systematic action. Neuroscience explains why visualization alone often fails. When we vividly imagine achieving something, our brain releases dopamine, the same reward chemical released when we actually achieve it. This creates what researchers call the mental satisfaction trap, where our brain feels rewarded without having accomplished anything concrete. This is the valley of disappointment in manifestation practices. It's where most people get stuck, constantly visualizing but never crossing the bridge to systematic action. You get temporary emotional satisfaction from imagining success, but without a structured pathway forward, that satisfaction becomes a substitute for achievement rather than a catalyst. Each day you continue practicing visualization without this implementation system is another day lost toward your goal. To put it in perspective, if you start today, you could be living in a completely different reality in 90 days. Or you could be exactly where you are now, just with more accumulated frustration. Stop right now and think, when was the last time you vividly visualized something? What specific, concrete action did you take within 24 hours afterward? If you can't remember, I've just identified the exact problem we're solving today. Jim Rohn perfectly captured this when he said, "You cannot change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction." Visualization gives you the destination. A system provides the direction. Imagine that visualization and action are like two electrical cables that must connect to generate power. Most people keep these wires separated. They visualize in the morning, then go about their day without creating any structural connection between their mental images and daily activities. On a scale of 1 to 10, How well have your visualizations transformed into reality over the past year? Be honest with yourself. In the next chapter, we'll explore Neville Goddard's visualization methods in greater depth, including aspects of his philosophy that are rarely discussed or fully understood. Neville Goddard's teachings on visualization contain deeper layers that few explore completely. Most people know his basic concept of living from the end, but miss the structured approach he actually taught. Goddard didn't just advocate casual daydreaming about desired outcomes. He outlined a specific four-step approach. First, clearly define your desired state in vivid detail. Second, enter a state of relaxed awareness where critical thinking is temporarily suspended. Third, construct a scene that implies your wish is fulfilled. Fourth, and most critically, feel the reality of the scene with such intensity that it generates genuine emotion. The difference between passive visualization and what Goddard called full sensory immersion is crucial. Passive visualizers see mental pictures. Effective visualizers create complete mental experiences that engage all senses. They feel textures, hear sounds, smell scents, and most importantly, generate authentic emotional reactions. Let's do a quick exercise. Close your eyes for 5 seconds and feel what it would be like to have already achieved your primary goal. Notice the difference between seeing it and feeling it. Another overlooked aspect of Goddard's methodology is what he called the Sabbath state. A mental condition where you're so convinced of your vision's reality that you feel no anxiousness, desperation, or need to force its manifestation. You've planted the seed and now trust in its natural growth. Most people miss this critical point in the first 2 minutes of visualization, remaining in a state of wanting rather than having. Goddard also taught creating reality anchors, physical cues that remind you of your mental work. These aren't just vision boards. They're strategic environmental modifications that repeatedly trigger your visualized state throughout the day. Which area of your life would be most transformed if you could perfectly align your imagination with your daily actions? Have you noticed how some visualizations feel real, while others feel forced? The difference is in the structure and sensory completeness of the mental scene. Now that we understand how to create powerful and effective visualizations, we need to examine the discipline system Jim Rohn developed for transforming thoughts into consistent actions. Jim Rohn claimed that discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments, but his principles form a complete system that needs to be understood in its entirety. Here's our second fundamental principle. Discipline without direction is just hard work. Consider the real-life example of Steve Jobs, who was known to be profoundly influenced by Jim Rohn's discipline philosophy. Jobs didn't just work hard, he worked strategically. His famous reality distortion field wasn't just positive thinking. It was a systematic application of visualization followed by ruthlessly disciplined execution. In Walter Isaacson's authorized biography, Jobs described how he would visualize Apple products in complete detail before directing his team to build them. This wasn't random. It was a structured process connecting mental imagery with systematic implementation. Similarly, Oprah Winfrey has openly discussed how Jim Rohn's teachings on disciplined habits transformed her approach to success. In her Stanford commencement speech, she revealed how she used a structured system of visualization followed by immediate action to build her media empire. "I don't believe in luck or accidents," she said. "I believe in the connection between what you visualize and what you systematically work toward." Many people associate discipline with grinding effort and willpower. But Rohn distinguished between brute discipline and strategic discipline. Brute discipline is forcing yourself to do difficult things. Strategic discipline is creating systems that make consistency inevitable. Rohn's 5-point method for building infallible habits starts with what he called the few vital behaviors. Instead of trying to change everything at once, identify the 1 to 3 actions that would create the greatest leverage in your life. Next, establish unmistakable clarity about these actions, defined in specific measurable terms. Third, create environmental triggers that prompt these behaviors automatically. Fourth, build accountability structures. Finally, implement consistent review processes. Let's do a 10-second exercise. Imagine you're observing yourself from outside as if you were your own mentor. What single daily action would you recommend that would be absolutely non-negotiable, even on your worst days? This approach differs fundamentally from most discipline methods because it focuses on strategic simplicity rather than heroic effort. Rohn's famous statement that discipline is the bridge between thought and accomplishment is often quoted but rarely implemented as he intended, as a systematic process rather than a character trait. The principle of minimum resistance is crucial here. Rohn taught finding the path of least resistance to your most important habits. This isn't about taking shortcuts. It's about removing unnecessary friction from essential behaviors. For instance, if morning exercise is vital, sleeping in your workout clothes eliminates one decision point. Rohn's compound effect principle applies daily, not just financially. Small, consistent actions compound into massive results over time, creating what he called success momentum. The key is understanding that the power isn't in the individual action but in the unbroken chain of actions. Which single habit, if practiced consistently for a year, would completely transform your life? And what do you prefer? Extreme intensity for a week or moderate consistency for a year? Now comes the most powerful part, the third principle promised at the beginning. This continuous integration method is the crucial element that unites visualization and action into a cohesive, powerful system. This is the element missing from 99% of personal development books. The systematic connection between the mental and physical worlds. Here's the third principle, continuous integration, the feedback loop between visualization and action. The historical record shows that legendary entrepreneur Walt Disney implemented a version of this method decades before modern personal development emerged. According to Disney's biographers, he created a systematic three-phase approach: the dreamer, visualization; the realist, planning; and the critic, feedback. Disney would literally move to different rooms in his studio to integrate these phases, creating a physical manifestation of the integration cycle we're discussing. His success wasn't magic. It was methodical integration of imagination and implementation. Similarly, when you study Les Brown's journey from poverty to worldwide prominence as a motivational speaker, you see this integration principle at work. In his autobiography, Brown describes visualizing himself as a successful speaker while working as a DJ, but crucially, he immediately followed these visualization sessions with specific action steps. "I didn't just see myself succeeding," Brown explains in his seminars. "I created a system that made my vision inevitable through daily disciplines directly connected to my mental images." Most approaches treat visualization and action as separate practices. Visualize in the morning, take action during the day with no structured connection between them. The continuous integration method creates a 72-hour cycle that keeps visualization and action perfectly aligned through constant feedback. Here's how it works. Begin with structured visualization using Goddard's full sensory immersion technique. Then immediately create what Stanford researchers call implementation intentions. Specific if-then plans that link situations to actions. For example, if it's 8 a.m., then I'll work on my most important project for 90 minutes. The magic happens in what I call return moments, scheduled times to reconnect your actions with your visualizations. These 2-minute check-ins create a continual dialogue between your mental images and physical reality, allowing each to inform and strengthen the other. The cascade prioritization method ensures your actions directly emerge from your visualizations. Take your mental image and ask, what's the first physical step that would make this real? Then create a descending hierarchy of actions from high impact to supporting behaviors. This is the point where most people give up. And it's exactly where real transformation begins. The trigger anchoring technique creates neurological connections between specific mental states and physical actions. By consistently pairing visualization with immediate action, you train your nervous system to move automatically from thought to behavior. Let's make a radical perspective shift. What if visualization and action aren't two separate things? In the continuous integration method, they're parts of a single process like inhaling and exhaling. One cannot exist properly without the other. The calibration feedback technique uses real-world results to refine your visualizations. If your actions aren't producing expected outcomes, you adjust your mental model rather than just trying harder with the same approach. This creates a self-correcting system that continually improves both your visualization clarity and action effectiveness. Strategic journaling documents the relationship between your visualized states and actual results, creating a personal database of what works specifically for you. A Stanford University study on implementation intentions found this documentation process increased goal achievement by 300%. If you had to choose just one aspect of this method to implement today, which would be most impactful for your current situation? How would your daily routine look if you perfectly integrated visualization and action? This complete system creates what Edison, Disney, and other historic achievers demonstrated: the seamless flow from imagination to systematic implementation to transformative results. We've uncovered 3 fundamental principles that transform fleeting mental images into concrete daily habits. 1. Visualization without a system is merely fantasy. 2. Discipline without direction is just hard work. 3. Continuous integration creates the feedback loop between visualization and action. Let's implement this right now with a 60-second exercise. Close your eyes and visualize your most important goal as already accomplished. Feel the emotions, see the details. Now, without breaking your mental state, ask yourself, what one action could I take in the next 24 hours that would make this vision begin to materialize? Open your eyes and write that action down immediately. You've just experienced the first cycle of the continuous integration method. By repeating this process systematically, you create an unbroken chain between your mental and physical worlds. The cost of continued disconnection is immense. Countless hours of visualization without results, sporadic bursts of action without direction, and the persistent feeling that you're missing something essential in your personal development practice. Be realistic about your timeline. Expect initial shifts in your first 21 days of practice, with significant transformation becoming evident around the 90-day mark. This isn't instant manifestation, it's systematic achievement. I encourage you to implement the first step of this method immediately after this video. Then share your biggest insight in the comments below. Which of these 3 principles resonated most deeply with you? As Neville Goddard wrote in The Power of Awareness, the world is yourself pushed out. Ask yourself what you want and then give it to yourself. Do not question how it will come about. Just go your way knowing that the evidence of what you have done must appear. But remember Jim Rohn's complimentary wisdom: if you really want to do something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. With the Invisible Power Method, you now have the way to transform any vision into reality through the perfect integration of imagination and disciplined action. Hey incredible growth seekers! Wow, what a journey! If this video resonated, subscribe now for more life-changing content. Join our community of self-improvers. Smash that like button to fuel more content on mindfulness, goal setting, and emotional intelligence. Share this video to create a ripple of positive change. Comment below about your growth journey. Your insights shape our content. Next week, boosting self-confidence and overcoming limiting beliefs. Don't miss it. Every interaction brings us closer to a world of empowered individuals. Let's make personal development global. Stay inspired, keep growing. Your best self awaits. Let's unlock it together.